ask unanimous consent that the quorum call be vitiated.
Without objection.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent to waive the mandatory quorum call with respect to the en bloc nominations provided for under the provisions of S.Res. 377.
Without objection.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, today is Constitution Day, September 17th. So I think it is a perfect day today to restore the Senate's constitutional duty of advising consent. Because when a president is elected, he needs to put a team in place to run the government. When a president wins, he gets to pick the team. Modern presidents have over 1,000 positions to fill. There is a role in the Senate for advise and consent. But Senate Democrats have done everything you can think of to prevent President Trump from putting his team in place. He needs to get these people on the job, and let me be clear, Democrat obstruction ends today. This week, Republicans in the Senate will break the blockade and move America forward. Now, we're going to begin to confirm this backlog of President Trump's qualified nominees. You know, historically, this Senate, acting as a body of the whole, has considered nominees pretty quickly after they've come out of the vetting in the committees. Most are confirmed right here on the Senate floor by voice vote or unanimous consent. In President Obama's first term, 856 nominees were confirmed that way. In President Trump's first term, 553. In Joe Biden's only term as president, the number was 530. Here we are, President Trump's second term, September of that second term, and that number confirmed that way is 0. Well, why? Why has not a single nominee been confirmed by voice vote or by unanimous consent? Look, we know why, and it's the Democrat obstruction. Our country's never seen anything like this. Senate Democrats are freezing the Senate floor, freezing the federal government, and freezing our nation's progress, and they're doing it intentionally. This harms our nation's safety. It hamstrings the president and the voting people's agenda. That's what people voted for. They elected President Trump. He won all 7 battleground states. And yet the Democrats have done everything they can to stop him from making progress. Democrats are currently holding up more than 150 qualified nominees who have already been successfully approved through Senate committees. These nominees are critical to our nation's future, our nation's success, our nation's progress, as well as our safety and security. So let's take a look at some of the important roles that the Democrats have said, nope, we're going to filibuster all of them. One is the Principal Deputy Administrator for the National Nuclear Security Administration. Another is the Inspector General for the Central Intelligence Agency. Many are ambassadors to our NATO allies. Then there is the Deputy Trade Representative. Even the Director of National Counterintelligence and Security Center is being frozen out by Democrat obstruction. Every one of them is qualified because every one of those individuals has received bipartisan committee support, Republicans and Democrats voting for them after their hearings in the committee. And yet Chuck Schumer, the Senate minority leader, is blocking critical nominees because he opposes President Trump, and he's done it at every step along the way. Democrats failed to defeat President Trump in November at the ballot box, so instead they're trying to sabotage his team right here on the Senate floor. When Democrats filibuster nominees, they don't even bother to debate their qualifications. Simply delay for the sake of delay and obstruction. Our Senate committees have done their jobs on all of these nominees. Every one of these nominees that's being held up here on the Senate floor, every one of us has appeared at hearings in committee. They've answered a barrage of questions from senators. They passed FBI background checks. They cleared Senate ethics investigations. They passed out of committee. Many and every one that we're going to be voting on in this group this week had bipartisan support. Let's be clear what that means. Democrats here on the floor, Chuck Schumer, are blocking nominees who members of their own party already said, yes, these are qualified. Let's get them on the job. This is unprecedented and it is wrong. Now, Democrats are free to vote no on nominees. That's okay. But an all-out obstruction, it weakens our country and it wastes the Senate's time. Don't take my word for it. Let's listen to what one of the senators on the other side of the aisle said in 2013 when Barack Obama was president. And that was Senator Elizabeth Warren from Massachusetts. She came to this very floor, stood over there at that desk, and said, without a government that was staffed, justice would not be established, our common defense, she said, would be threatened, and the blessings of liberty that we hope to secure through our laws would go unfulfilled. 2013, different president. Well, what changed? Well, what changed is in November, Americans voted to get America back on track, and they elected Donald Trump as president to do it. Democrats' response was to shut down the Senate nomination process and to stop senators from doing the people's business. Today, Republicans are taking decisive action, and we're going to start voting on that in a few minutes, Mr. President. And we are going to break the Senate's procedural logjam. We're returning to the long-established traditions and principles of the Senate. Tomorrow, the Senate will vote on 48 nominees together in a single group. Each and every one of them has received bipartisan support in Senate committees. We're not going to stop there, though. Over 100 more nominees will be ready for confirmation by the end of this week to get that process moving. It's time for the Senate to clear the nominations backlog and clear it quickly, and so we will. That way, the Senate can get back to the work of legislating, of working on behalf of the American people. We have important legislation to consider, appropriations bills. We have the National Defense Authorization Act, the Farm Bill, legislation to make our cities safe from violent criminals. Senate Republicans are going to continue the work of the American people. We're going to continue to work to get America back on track. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor. Suggest the absence of a quorum.
Clerk will call the roll.